So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Every year, we look forward to this event because it gives us the opportunity to celebrate excellence, service, and generosity. I am confident that each of you will leave today's 19th Annual Vecellio Distinguished Lecture inspired in some way. I'm Mike Garvin. I'm an associate professor, and I am the program coordinator of the Vecellio Construction Engineering Management Program in the VIA Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Virginia Tech, and that's certainly a mouthful. I'm very pleased to welcome you all here today. So a few logistics to start off with. This auditorium has 4 exits, 2 in the back, 2 in the front on each side, and keep in mind that the closest exit may be behind you. Following the lecture, I invite each of you to join us for a reception downstairs on the first floor in Torgerson 1100. So this event would not be possible without the generosity of the Vecellio family, whose endowment supports this lecture, scholarships, fellowships, and a professorship. Thank you all for that the family does for Virginia Tech, our students, and our program. Unfortunately, members of the Vecellio family weren't able to be here with us today, and they send their regrets. But I think we should thank them regardless. So a quick round of applause. Thank you. I would also like to recognize some leaders here at Virginia Tech and a few special guests. Unfortunately, Dr. Mark Whittleson could not be here today, the interim department head of the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, and so he sends his regrets. We do have with us, though, the director of the Myers-Lawson School of Construction, Dr. Brian Kleiner. I'm also pleased to welcome home Professor Emeritus Dr. Mike Vorster and his wife Merle. And then I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the efforts of Miss Rachel Atwell in hosting this lecture. Quite simply, without Rachel's efforts, this event would not happen. In fact, she's downstairs right now helping to prepare for the reception. So please, let's give her a hand for all that she does for our program. So a very important component of the Vecellio endowment are the scholarships and the fellowships that allow us to offer very deserving students support. So this past summer, the faculty selected 3 graduate fellows and 4 undergraduate scholars through a competitive process. It's my privilege now to introduce these students to you. So the first graduate fellow is Milad Afzalan from Awaz, Iran. Milad likes to hike, travel, and play music. So is that an actual instrument, Milad? Or okay, good. Because myself, I can only play the radio. He's currently a PhD student in our program and is conducting research in the areas of looking at this, improving the smartness of the built environment. Next is Deanna Franco Duran. Yep. And that's Deanna, not Diana, as I've learned, that's the way we pronounce it from Colombia. So Deanna is from Bucaramanga, did I get it right this time? Bucaramanga, Colombia. She likes to travel, interested in photography. She plays volleyball. She's interested in, her career plans are to teach. And having worked with her as a TA, I can tell you that she's going to have a very successful career as a teacher and to conduct research in engineering education. So, Deanna. Next is Mo Hu. Mo is from Yunnan, China. She likes to run, she likes to cook, and she also enjoys photography. I've heard about Mo's cooking prowess. One day I hope that she'll bring us some food. So looking forward to that. Again, her career plan, she's interested in teaching and then conducting research about sustainable infrastructure. So Mo. Next is Catherine McLean. Catherine hails from Vienna, Virginia. She likes to play the fiddle. I didn't know that there was a difference between Scottish fiddling, as a matter of fact. She does Highland dancing. She likes to hike, and she also likes to compose music. So she looks forward to becoming a civil engineer as well as a musician. So, Catherine. So next scholar is Carolyn Olmsted, who got tied up a little bit this afternoon on an ASCE field trip. So she hasn't quite made it back, but she'll be here shortly. She's from Hancock, Virginia, which I learned today is on the eastern shore. She likes to hike, canoe, yoga, runs, and she looks forward to working on large-scale infrastructure projects or construction projects, as well as earning her PE license. So that's Carolyn. Next is Victor O'Toole. Victor is from Baltimore, Maryland, and sadly for Victor, he is an Orioles fan. I like the Orioles, but they've had a rough go of it of late. He's a member of the Virginia Tech Swim Club, likes to play ultimate frisbee, hike. That was obviously quite a hike that you're on in the photo there, Victor. Is also a world traveler. Career plans to pass the FE exam and then the PE and then become a structural design engineer. So Victor. And then last but certainly not least, Jamie Timmer. Jamie hails from Midlothian, Virginia. That's not Richmond, right? Okay. I know it's the suburbs of Richmond, but she likes to rock climb, hike, bike. And she also works for the Virginia Tech radio station. So are you a DJ or really? Okay. Did not know that. So when are you on? What are your hours? They vary?
Wednesday, 2 to 3:30.
Oh, Wednesday to 2 to 3:30 if you want to hear Jamie DJing on the VT radio. So her career plans to earn a PE license, obtain her master's degree, and then pursue a career focused on infrastructure engineering and construction. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this year's group of Vecellio Scholars and Fellows. Thank you very much. So now to our guest of honor, Ross Myers. Ross is chairman and CEO of Allan Myers Incorporated. He is a 1972 civil engineering graduate of Virginia Tech. After graduating, Ross returned home to Philadelphia suburbs to join his father, Allan A. Myers & Son, a small grading and paving contractor. But he had a condition. He made his father agree that each year that the company was profitable, then the following year they would expand the business. Today, Allan Myers is the Mid-Atlantic's largest heavy civil construction and construction materials company. It is ranked by Engineering News-Record as the top transportation builder in the Mid-Atlantic and the top 50 heavy civil contractors. In 2017, Engineering News-Record named Allan Myers Mid-Atlantic Contractor of the Year. Indeed, the excellence of Allan Myers is a direct result of Ross's leadership and the quality of its people. We are quite pleased that a number of our friends from Allan Myers are with us today. In 2006, Ross co-founded the Myers-Lawson School of Construction at Virginia Tech with his longtime friend, Mr. John Lawson. Upon its founding, Ross said, "To start the school with John was a way to give back to both Virginia Tech and the industry. It is as exciting as it can get, especially to come down and meet the students. When people have passion, good things happen." There's no doubt about that. Today, MLSOC has become the beacon for construction excellence that Ross envisioned. Its learning, discovery, and engagement programs have touched countless students. Certainly many students in the audience today are beneficiaries of Ross's service and generosity. Personally, I likely would not be standing here today if Ross had not had the vision to co-found the school. For this, I will be forever grateful. In 2009, Ross was inducted into the College of Engineering Academies of Engineering Excellence, which is the pinnacle of honor for alumni. In 2015, he was elected to the National Academy of Construction, an honor bestowed on only those engineers and constructors most qualified. People who know Ross well know that he is a car enthusiast, having competed professionally as a race car driver. The next time that you find yourself in Patent 115, take a look at the wall, on the wall at the poster of First Love, a 1936 Ford three-window coupe that Ross originally purchased when he was 9 years old. Ross is a proud father and grandfather. He and his wife Beth have been married for over 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 2019 Vecellio Distinguished Lecturer, Mr. A. Ross Myers.
Good afternoon. I always get the wrong one a few times, so we'll figure it out. See what happens. There we go. Someday. I'd like a show of hands if anybody ever thought about someday. Right? You ever have dreams? Yeah. Okay? So today we're going to talk about how we can all turn them into reality. You know, what's it take? What's it take? Because one of the things I've seen in life, and I'm a lot older than most of you, not all of you, but most. Okay? Is that one of the saddest things I see in life is when humans can't fulfill or don't fulfill their dreams. And when I go back to a reunion and see friends from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and now 50 years ago, I hate to admit it, there's two groups in the room. There's a group that's happy, feels good about life, enjoying life, and, you know, some of the things that they set out to do, they did. And then there's another group, and unfortunately, especially when you get to 50, it's a large group that never achieved what they wanted to. And I feel so bad for them. And that's why I want to share a couple things with you today, all right?
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get it. So they say, let's do this thing, all right? Before we get started, I got to tell you a story about someday. I was at work and this big package arrived, and it was addressed to me. Opened it up, and here's this picture. And that artist summed up my dream. And it's like, not many people would have known that. Too many people would have known that. It was sent to me by Mike Foster. And I'm sure Merle had something to do with it. But Mike, I know you know most people in here. Would you just stand up for a minute and let people see you that don't know you? Because he's been gone from Virginia Tech for a few years. Turn around and wave. All right? So, thanks, Mike. So, what I have to tell you about Mike, if it wasn't for Mike Foster, we wouldn't be here today. True story. Ross Myers would not be involved with Virginia Tech, and the school construction would have never seen daylight because of one guy. And I met Mike probably 25 years ago now. I was down here visiting my son Aaron, and I hear this voice that didn't sound like it was a native Blacksburgian, right? That says, "Hello, I'm Mike Foster. I'm a professor at Virginia Tech, and I understand we have something in common." I'm like, well, we sure don't have the same accent, so okay, I'm game. Well, it's nice to meet you, Mike. He says, "I understand you love yellow paint." And I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, well, you know, my favorite color is really blue, but I'm thinking yellow paint. And he goes, "You know, Caterpillar iron. Caterpillar iron." I'm like, all right, I like this guy. He's a construction guy. Finally, a breath of fresh air at Virginia Tech. There's somebody here that understands. And from that day on, we were the yellow paint guys. And he's become a wonderful friend, a dear friend. And came to me with an idea called let's have a joint venture, and let's get building construction and construction engineering management to talk, and we could have a school of construction, and next thing you know, I got my checkbook out, I got John Lawson's checkbook out, and we get a school. It was his idea. I just want everybody to know that. It's his idea. And through the trials and tribulations of academia, here we are today. So, Mike, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, thank you. All the people that have worked so hard to make it happen, thank you. And it's a dream come true for me today to be here. So, thank all of you. So let's talk about how do we get from dreams to getting something done. That's what we're talking about here, right? Get something done. You know? Because most dreams are wonderful, but a lot of them don't materialize. So let's talk about how we can do that. And I want to start out with one statement, and it's the truth. I am not a very talented person. I'm really not. I was a C student in high school. How I ever got into college, I couldn't tell you. Right? And then I was C student at best in college. Okay? As a matter of fact, if they probably would have predicted somebody most likely not to succeed, it would have been Ross Myers or John Lawson, or maybe both of us. I'm sure if you doubled my intellect, it would be the same as most of the people in this room. Okay? So you all can do it. Each and every one of you. But we're going to start with the harsh reality right up front. They don't teach you this in school. Okay? Life sometimes sucks. And it will punch you right in the mouth. Hard. Right in the mouth. Okay? The difference between people that get from dreams to reality, get back up. That's all. They're not smarter. They're not better. Most of the time, they're like me. They're dumber. They're too dumb to stay down. Right? They get back up. Because no matter how good life is right now, okay, there will be times when it's going to be really hard. And when you get beyond the protected walls of Blacksburg, Virginia, they could get hard real quick. It's nothing bad, it's life. It's true, as they say. It's true. Okay? You got to be okay with that. Okay? It'll just be stuff, and you can get through it. But you got to start out here. Don't expect it to be easy. Because if you expect it to be easy, if you expect to take what you really want to do and get there, it's not going to be. That's okay. I try to keep things simple. And for me, when you're talking about dream conversion, it's about see it, want it, believe it, go get it. See it, want it, believe it, go get it. Can you all remember that? Here's where you got to start. You got to keep it simple. Most of us get diverted away from our dreams because you try to make it too complicated. You got to keep it simple. If you're going after it, it's got to be one thing. And you can't let life get in the way of it. Okay? Now, we all have one of these, right? Yeah, right? If you want to accomplish anything in the world worthwhile, you got to be able to get rid of that for a couple hours every day. Okay? That's if there's going to be a generational gap of creativity in this country, it's going to be because of that. Because when you're on that, you can't be creative. You can't be quiet. You can't be with yourself. You can't be powerful. You're just reacting to stuff. Now, that's a great tool. It changed the world, didn't it? Okay? I use it all the time. Okay? But for a couple hours a day, every day, it gets put away. And when I'm really working on something, when I'm really thinking, when I'm really trying to create, it can go away for a long time. Because it's a distraction. Okay? I love this saying, right? You cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. Okay? What I try to do every day is pick one thing that I'm going to excel at. One thing. And whatever it takes to do that, I'm going to clear the way for. If you want to talk to my wife at the reception, she'll tell you that the night before I go to bed, every night before I go to bed, I pick out the outfit that I'm going to wear the next day. She says, "You're worse than a girl." Well, I don't think, I like girls, so I don't think that's all that bad. Okay? Why do I do that? Because I want to mentally prepare for what's the most important thing I have to accomplish the next day. And I am going to dress for that. If it's a 2-hour meeting, I'll wear that outfit all day long. If it's a 15-minute meeting, I'll do the same. Because I'm going to pick one thing every day that I'm going to be a 12 out of 10 on. The rest really isn't going to be important because that one thing is going to be matched up with a goal I have. You got to want it. And I don't mean you, if you pick something and you're going to drive it to completion, you got to want it more than anything else. I'm not talking about, oh yeah, I want a new car. No, it's not about that. It's what really matters to you. What really matters to you. And you know what? You're going to have to get quiet to figure that out. Because most of us don't know most of the time. And we picked the wrong thing. But if you're going to win, if you're going to go from goal to success, you got to want it. It's got to burn inside of you. Somebody mentioned I race, right? This was an old movie Steve McQueen was in. Racers I know, the really good ones, it's the only thing that's important to them is getting in that race car and winning. The rest of the stuff is just something they got to do till they get behind the wheel. What's the one thing more than anything else in life that you want to achieve? That's called want it. Then we go to believe it. You got to believe, if you're going to win this, right? We start out with life is difficult. If you're going to win this one, you're going to have to believe in yourself. Okay? Because there's going to be times that it's going to feel like that. Do you ever feel that way? You don't know how you're going to make the next step. you don't know how you're going to get across that, right? What do we usually do when we're there? If we don't want it more than anything else in the world or we don't believe in our stuff, what do? Stop, turn around, fall, right? You got to keep going. One step at a time, one day at a time, one small piece of the goal at a time. You got to keep going. I love that. Somebody sent it to me as a postcard 10 years ago. It's still on my desk. Never got rid of it. And the cool thing is, when I'm feeling that way, I know I picked the right goal. Because if I wasn't feeling that way, it wouldn't be important enough. I told you I was nothing special when we started this, right? Here's a story that ties into that. I'm working as an intern, civil engineering intern, and it was the summer of my sophomore year. They were going to give me one more semester. One more. You got one more, Myers. I failed physics and I had a D in calculus. And I didn't know if I could do it. And I walked in a gift shop, believe it or not, and I saw that. That's been with me for 50 years. I was talking to my son, Seth. He says, that's the only thing, Dad, that you've kept for 50 years. I said, you're probably right. Right? I looked at that and I said, you know what? If they can fly, I can pass calculus and I can pass physics. And I can graduate from Virginia Tech in civil engineering. If they can do that, why not? It's all up here. The games we fight, the hardest games we fight are right between our ears, aren't they? And I was losing. I was letting myself get beat. I was feeling sorry for myself because I wasn't as smart as the other kids. We all need images like that in our lives. You got to pick your own, okay? But when I saw that, I knew I was going to be okay. Virgil's saying, hey, the only reason they can fly is because their mom and dad did it, right? Because you sure wouldn't start out by doing it, right? Nah. Okay, here we go. This is the important stuff. Go get it. Go get it. Success isn't never going to find you. You got to go get it. You got to wrestle it to the ground. Okay? Allan Myers started out as 2 dairy farmers selling 6 cows and buying a dump truck 80 years ago. I'm going to share with you the 6 things that were beat into me as a young man by 2 dairy farmers. And today, we still use them every day. That's how we go. So this is go get it. Nobody's going to hand you anything. Remember, life is what? Hard. Come on, we can do better than that. Life is what? Hard. Yeah. That's okay, because we're going to win. Okay? The first thing you have to be better at than everybody else is your work ethic. Okay? You may be smarter than me. You may be bigger than me. Most of you are bigger and smarter than me, right? But you're not going to outwork me. I refuse to be outworked. If you want to win, you're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to work harder than the next guy. Harder than the next girl. It's not going to be about where you went to school or what your degrees are. It's going to be about that. Love the last sentence. The dreamers we know and love today are the ones who work the hardest. Paul Newman. Everybody thinks Paul Newman was this amazingly talented actor, right, who had the most gorgeous eyes in the whole world. And I know I'm dating myself, but that's what my wife tells me. There you go. Right? He flunked out of acting school. But what he learned to do was he said he worked harder than anybody else trying out for that role. He would memorize his lines, and he would memorize the lines of every other person in that movie before he went in for his audition. It's about work ethic. It's about time and commitment. No matter what you want, it's going to take this to win. Because life is hard, right? Number 2, I'm a firm believer in this. You got to deliver on your commitments every day. And those of you that are going to be the most successful are going to deliver a little bit more than one you committed to. That little bit extra. The successful people in the world give it just a little bit more than everybody else. Not a lot. It's just a little bit. Okay. I'll tell you a story. The senior year in college, I come back from my internship, and my dad says, "Hey, would you build a small little road for me to a truck garage?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." I take the plans. I go out there with my transit. I'm almost a civil engineer. I can survey, and I like to run equipment. We can do this. So I take the crew out, and I lay it out. We build the road, and there's a township inspector, and he comes out every day, inspects the road, and we get to be friends. His name's Frank McGregor. At the end of the job, didn't have to, but I took the weekend and I as-built the project. It was a small little job. I made as-built drawings and I took them to Frank. Didn't have to. Three years later, I'm out of school, working hard, paving driveways and parking lots with my dad, can't get a break. Get a phone call. Hey, my name's Jack Becker. I've got a little job I would like you guys to build for me. Yeah, no problem. I go look at the job. Right? It's 2,500 lot subdivision. Right? There's like 5-6 years worth of work here for a big company. We got 10 guys. Said, can you build this? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. He says, well, you're going to have to. He says, why is that? Frank McGregor wants you to. He's the township inspector, and what I learned about township inspectors, you pick the guy they want or you're going to have problems. Right? Dumb luck? Maybe. Here's the thing about luck. Luck comes to people that work their butts off and never give up. That's all luck is. Okay? So I'm a believer. And if you want to be successful, just give it a little bit more than anybody else has gone to or that you promised. And you'll be just fine. There's a lot of smart people out there. A lot of smart people, a lot of talented people. There's a lot of good business people out there. If you want to separate yourself from most, you have to learn to connect this with this. I am a firm believer as they are not two separate things. They're one thing. We get screwed up when we try to separate them. This will try to take you places you shouldn't go. We need this. Right? Ideas come from here. Intelligence comes from here. A lot of good stuff comes from here. When we don't connect it to this, we can get ourselves in trouble. We can go down paths we shouldn't be going down. And more importantly, if your main goal in life is success is defined by you being happy at the end of your life, you got to like yourself. Number one thing is you're going to have to like yourself. I say my main goal every morning is to like the person in the mirror when I'm shaving. Right? Now, some of you don't shave, but you probably comb your hair. Right? If you want to like that person, at the end of your journey, and during your journey, you got to connect the two. Okay? And if you want to be successful and you want to follow a goal, okay? Follow your heart. Let your mind help you get there. Let it develop the strategy and the tactics, but follow this. Don't follow something that somebody else is doing. Don't follow something because it might be worth a lot of money or it looks good or it looks glittery and it's a popular thing to do. Follow this. You'll never go wrong. Use this to help you get there. Follow this. Connect the two. Can you connect the two? if you're on this all the time, can't be done. You got to get quiet to hear yourself. Be disciplined enough to get quiet every day. I was with a group of young people today, and they're asking me questions. They said, what do you look for when you look for somebody you want to hire? I said, I look for people that love to compete. Competition's a wonderful thing. I'm not talking about winning at any cost. I'm talking about competing hard, competing fairly. To get to where you want to get in life, you're going to have to compete for it. Don't shy away from it. Learn to love it. And you're going to get beat once in a while. That's okay. You got to get back up and go after it again. Hard and fair. You always come out on top. We have an expression in our company. We say, if you want to bang, let's bang. If life brings it on, economy gets bad, let's go. Right? We got a bad job? Let's go. Don't run away from a bad job. Don't run away from a bad economy. You don't run away from challenges. Let's go. Bring it on. John Wooden was an amazing basketball coach, way before most of your times, but he's one of my favorite. And he said, make every day a masterpiece. My secret to goal attainment is pretty simple. You take the engineering mind you have, you use your heart. What do I really want to accomplish? Listen to your heart. How am I going to get there? Use your head. Every goal I attack, I relentlessly dissect into the smallest possible part. If it's a 5-year goal, we have an annual plan for it. Once it's in an annual plan, we have a monthly plan for it. Once we have a monthly plan for it, I dissect it into a weekly plan, written out. And then there's a daily plan for that weekly plan. Because here's why most people never get to where they want to get. They come up with a great idea, something they really want more than anything else in the world, and then they get busy doing something else. And guess what? 10 years later, it got done by somebody else. You gotta measure it. Nothing gets done in life if you don't measure it. You got to break it down into small parts. You got to measure every part, and you got to push it a little bit forward every day. And it'll work for you. If you do all those other things, it'll work. But you can't have a great idea and think, okay, I got this great idea and I'll get to it. You know, I got a year to get it done. No. You got one day to get done what you have to get done that day. That's all you're promised. Use every day. Every day. You got to have discipline around that. You got to learn discipline around that. Every day is precious. Every day is important. What do you think of that guy? Now, if you really study him, he's still holding on. He is not coming off that horse. You see the grip he's got on that thing? He's not going to let that horse win. Mm-mm. That's what it takes. Life is what? Hard. You're going to get kicked in the what? Wherever. The teeth. The face. Right? You can never let go. You could say that guy is in real trouble. Or you could say, you know what? He's a second away from winning. I say he's a second away from winning. When that 8-second buzzer goes off, he's still holding on. He won. That's how we look at it. Okay? The world belongs to people that will outwork you. And the people belongs to people that never give up. I got one more thing, and it's time for food. Okay? I'm going to leave you with one more thing. If you want to be successful in life, get a mentor. What's a mentor look like? When you leave school, find somebody out there in the world you're in that you respect. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years older than you are. Watch how they live their life. If you go, you know what? I'd like to be like that someday. Walk up politely and say, excuse me, but could I buy you lunch once a month? And when you go to have lunch with them, you have a list of questions. I wouldn't be where I got to today without amazing teammates and without amazing mentors. People like Mike Foster. Nobody's smart enough to do it on their own. Nobody. Ask for help. It's been great being with you today. Thank you all for being here.
We've got a few gifts that we'd like to give to you. So while the gifts are being brought out, time maybe for a quick question. Does anybody have a quick question they'd like to fire at Ross? No questions at all? In the back, sir. Yes, sir.
How did the development job go?
Interesting question.
Well, he
The
said,
big
how
development job
How did
that he
that
got."
big development job go for you? And I guess the answer is, we're still here. Right? We're still here.
Very good. Very good. So, Ross, in appreciation for your remarks and everything you've done for Virginia Tech, we have a few gifts, and we'd ask you if you wouldn't mind to open them up.
Oh, thank you.
Now, again, being a Virginia Tech alum, it's a little tricky. We try to get some things that potentially you wouldn't have.
Hokey Stone.
Very
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. We can't get Hokey Stone in Pennsylvania.
It's a good choice then. Pretty sure you don't have one of these.
I do not.
Sure you have a hard hat, but not one like this.
Thank you.
There you go. Very
There you
good.
go.
Excellent.
Thank you. Man, I am going to be styling. I'm not putting it on right now.
And then,
Thank you.
sort of last but not least, chairs in academia are very important. But this is a different type of chair. So this is a chair for the Vecellio lecture, and so you are the 19th person to receive such a chair. All right?
Thank you.
It's really special. It folds up and goes into the overhead on the way back. But no, I'm kidding. We'll mail it back for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Ross once again for his remarks.